It always comes to this. More nice shit. Hello there guys, back into another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I had showed off the second pass of my dog portrait. My dearly departed friend Mozart got his second pass after 3 months. We waited quite a while for that one. I've been waiting on average a little longer in between passes on my legs than I have on stuff on my torso for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is I have a lot of projects on the go, especially now we have a true full bodysuit in the works, whereas for the last bunch of years I've been primarily concerned with working on just my torso, things like my back, my arms, my front, my head. My head got a full rework in 2023, neck, all of that stuff. As if that wasn't enough to be concerned with, now we finally added in my legs, and I've been working with several different artists with obviously several different styles at several different skill levels. And then obviously Terry is what I would consider to be the premier artist at this. This is why he did the dog portrait for me. I mentioned in the video where I first covered that one that I chose to work with Terry on that dog portrait because I didn't want it to be a labor. I didn't want it to be a learning experience for that one. I wanted it to be quick, clean, clear execution with very little struggle, especially being that we found the worst ink to pack over black for big packing or big sections is white, even though it's the most popular one for people. White has been the most challenging and complicated one to do. And so I wanted to do that with an artist that was already well versed in that and already knew the hiccups. When to draw the line, that's been a big learning curve for everyone. Kind of figuring out when the skin has had enough. With most tattoos you can read the body because you'll see the skin gets inflamed or red, or even swelling can be a little hard to detect working over blackout. The black mutes the skin so you can't see a lot of the signs of inflammation. What you do get is a greater reduced or like diminished return. So when you wipe and there's no color there, it's very easy to see that it's not going in as well. For example, the last time when Alex was working on me and we did the knee tattoo, all of the red was fairly thin, and that's because the skin had had enough already. When we got to the red, it was already pretty tapped, and I find the joints can piss off the tissue pretty quickly. So wrists and elbows, stitches, things like that, armpits, anywhere where you have a lot of bend tends to stress the skin quite a bit. So by the time that we got around to the red and the yellow, and primarily those two, and then obviously little bits of white, that skin had had enough already, which is part of why the knee is it's not perfect, and you'll see that in this video. And that was completely by design. I'm not saying we set out to get a diminished result with that, but whenever you're working on something like an elbow or a kneecap, it's going to be hard to get perfect saturation anyway, or good saturation even. And then when you throw in the fact that it's color on black, well, you're going to have a worse time. Even for Alex, who you'll see in this video has very little trouble saturating color into black. But by that point, the skin had had quite a bit, and also it's a kneecap. So my expectations were not too high, and for the same reason I haven't done color on black fingers. This is not worth the squeeze. Color on black knee that we can do, but I'm not willing to get into 9,000 sessions on color on black fingers just to have a maybe better result. Who knows? It might look worse anyway. I kind of like the cutoffs. So, and obviously we haven't done this hand to the same level as this one, but the fingers will be a lot more trouble than the hand has been, and the hand has been enough trouble. With that said, I did not have my appointment with Rick this week. I don't mind because I'm getting tattooed again tomorrow anyway, so it would have been another 3-session week. But showed up here with for my session on Monday. Rick was actually already here. He's very rarely here before me. But it was obvious that he was in no state to work. I think he had some kind of heat stroke or some kind of flu or something. He was making some noises that I can only vaguely describe as human. He was largely indisposed, and as soon as he went to the bathroom and was in there for 20 minutes making all kinds of ungodly noises, I texted my wife and said, yeah, I don't think that today's happening, so we can do something else with the day if you want. So as soon as he got out, he was hemming and hawing, and I was like, yeah, it's not happening today. He immediately moved to reschedule it for the following day, but I was like, that's okay, Rick. I don't think you're faking it, and we work together every week. I'm not sweating missing one session. We would have been working back here, so that's what we'll be doing next week. Ironically, the last time we worked on this just went up on the channel, session 95. It was right before we had the dramatic shift in color, and you can see it here, right? Because this is the last session we had. See how bright that is versus how, even though that's saturated in there, all of the tones are quite a bit smaller, and they are bright where they're at, but we're going to be bringing it up to this color. So, and then the following week we'll be working on the elbow, and then I'm not sure where next. I believe either the hand or up here on the orange. This can go again, and I really can't wait to get to that again. But missing a session with Rick at this point when we're over 100 sessions in on this sleeve, not a super big deal. Yeah, and like I said, he was in rough shape, and I've seen him work through rough shape. I've seen him hungover. I've seen him, too many mushrooms. It wasn't either of those things. So there's no secrets amongst the two of us at this point. I've seen every move in his playbook, and I'm sure he has in mine. So it was fine by me, and Sarah and I kind of had a date day instead. So that's just fine by me. Anyway, I will show off what I got up to here today. So I'll readjust my camera, and I'll be right back. So before I talk about today's session, I'll quickly show off the healed dog portrait, mostly healed anyway. There's still a few spots that are not flaked off yet, but this is almost fully flaked off here. And if the first pass is anything to go by, I have every reason to assume that not only will it not darken, but it will probably lighten a little bit. So what's left to do here, if we do a third pass, which I'm guaranteeing you we will of some kind, I don't think it'll be a full redo. This wasn't even. Terry didn't go into all the white here. We went into more of the dark and opaque tones in the white second pass. So for a third pass, I can imagine it will only be dark opaques and black at this point, just to further sculpt out some of this, as he can look a little more defined. But that is the dog. Like, that's him. And Terry himself said that it might be better over black than it would have been on negative space, as it's pretty hard to do a white dog on negative space in comparison to building white in as you need it on a black canvas. So in this example here is a example of a dog portrait that looks better over blackout than it would have otherwise. For my sense, I like these anyway. I like these more. I like white and black more than black and gray. But obviously it's a lot more work to get there. And if you're just looking for a dog portrait, I'm not the guy who's going to be recommending you to black out your entire leg in the pursuit of that. But this was an effortless heal, and second passes are always less work, so they should always heal easier anyway. And they always end up being a little more true to your desire. So just another reason, guys, always commit to at least 2 passes if you're going to do anything over blackout. I don't ever recommend doing 1, no matter how good you think it is. For example, this Mind Flayer is only 1 pass. And truth be told, I kind of wanted to get on him today because he's in there really good. But I just want to build detail into that now, so, I know what this is going to look like, and it's not there yet. So I really want to get back to work on this. So this will be the next thing Alex and I tackle, second pass on.
With that said, the little touches on Mr. Hanky are also healed up, and the Mimic is staying as he was. Not much change. Tomorrow I will be working on this guy here, if you can see him, with Sarah. Probably an hour and a half, 2 hours work. Some different tones in there, more texture, details, stuff like that. So that'll be tomorrow's video. Today I guess I should talk about what we did here. We did all of the red background because we didn't go up here for first pass on the knee. It was too much. Even the stuff we did in here was real thin. And you can see that same thinness throughout the ball of the knee here. But we got the red background around this guy this time. And did second and in some places first pass of red background around the bat here. And we did redid all the yellow, all the orange, and the white behind the bat, as those were the worst parts. And then just parts of the light blue, parts of the beigey tones and pink tones. This would all look better if I wasn't doing this when it's still bloody. And normally I would be coming back here in the morning to make this vlog, but I've been liking doing these at the end of a day more. It's easier to do it this way than it is to do them at the very end of or very start of the fucking day at sometimes 4 in the morning. So I may go back to doing it that way though. We'll see. But everything here would be a little clearer if it weren't for that. But you'll see the videos of this in the left side of the screen to better illustrate what was done. But just highlights for most of that bat, and he was already really good in there on 2 passes. The third pass for color on black is almost always going to be highlights. So next sessions with Alex will be second pass on the Mind Flayer, second pass on the knee. And the second pass on the knee is going to be a lot better than the first pass, because by the time the lines were done on that thing, it was already pretty pissy. So it will be a big benefit to do that. So with that, I'll meet you back up there.
So hopefully I showed that all off well enough. Yeah, dog portrait did really, really good. Very happy with it. Probably better than a lot of people even expected it to be. Not really for me. I expected it to be as good as it is, and I'm happy it is. But no real surprises there. I also think, likewise, these finishing touches on that bat are going to make a big difference overall in its clarity. Kind of putting some focal points in there and highlights to separate things. That's what third passes are really good for. And that's exactly what I plan on having done with the dog portrait when we hit it again here. Probably 4 or 5 months from now. There'll be no hurry on that. With as positive as this vlog has been, just kind of by happenstance, I guess, I do have to be a little negative in the end here. Unfortunately, Alex will be part-time at the shop going forward. Once we get into August, it's early July here. The tattoo industry has been slow for a while. It's been slow for as long as I could see, is probably around 13, 14 months here at the shop. And working a couple days a week for most of that time, sometimes fully booked. But Alex is a fairly introverted tattooer, and this whole industry has changed to a place where it really is largely a game of being on social media and showing your work and talking about it and being very connected to your audience. And if you're not doing that dance, you're not booking the same way, no matter who you have booking you. And it's a real shame because Alex is not someone who should be leaving this industry. She's very good at tattooing, and there are a lot of much worse tattooers out there that are booking stronger. And as much as I don't want her to consider other options with all the talent she has for this, it's a real shame that she's having to do that. Because even though, yeah, you can make big money per day tattooing, and a lot of people will think, oh, tattooers are loaded. You don't know the back end of this thing, what's coming out of it, and you don't see the days that these guys don't work. And it's not what it once was. There are far too many artists doing this, and far too many of them shouldn't be doing it. And when I hear from people all over the world saying that you can't find anybody to do this work, they would be so lucky to have an artist as open-minded as Alex has been, who is as capable of doing this and learning new things as anyone I've ever met. And just the type of tattooer that should be staying in the industry is unfortunately leaving the industry, or at least going to a reduced schedule in this industry, so that some cockroach that is just doing Pinterest tattoos every day with no real interest in learning or growing is probably going to be eating her lunch. I have been trying to, inspire her and excite her and influence her to stay and hold on a little longer. But I think you're going to be seeing this a lot. I've been seeing shops closing all over the world and artists going into other things and looking for side hustles and stuff. It's an unfortunate problem, but everyone in the world, or at least a lot of artists all over the world, are experiencing this to some degree or another. We have the same problem in our Kelowna location, and it ebbs and flows. Sometimes Lethbridge is busier than Kelowna, sometimes Kelowna is busier than Lethbridge, but both of our shops, or both of our cities' shops, were very booked just a few years ago, and now I think it's just part or parcel of inflation, also the boom of the industry. In this city, there are, I would say, 5 or 6 times as many shops as there were only 4 years ago, and I have had 5 or 6 apprentice applicants in just the last few weeks here, whereas 2022, I only had a handful the entire year. There are more people looking to get into this industry than ever, and where it used to be the case that everyone and their uncle had a tattoo, these days it's everyone and their uncle is a tattooer. So it's a real shame that Alex is having to feel this way, and I really hope that she'll find a way to pull through and maybe end up staying in the industry, not just for my own sake, but because it will be a horrible loss to her and the entire business, and for her own future. I think that if she could weather this storm, there's a big world of opportunity for her. So it does make me sad. It makes me frustrated for where the industry is at, but I completely understand her side of things, and everyone's got to make money and everyone's got to have security and be able to pay their bills. So you are going to see some really good artists dropping off and really good shops closing up. That's just the way it's going to go. Anyway, I will be showing off the cleaned up version of the bat tomorrow, as I'll be having another session on my legs tomorrow with my wife Sarah when we get the second pass on that little pumpkin alien Alan. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.